Senator Carper, thank you for your leadership.
Thank you. Thanks for nice hand for Debbie. Gunn. Put them together. Come on. Thank you. Please remain standing. I'm going to follow up, Chuck, with a little bit more music. When I was 18 years old, I was a midshipman at Ohio State, went to Newport, Rhode Island to join my destroyer. A bunch of us midshipmen were going to go out and tame the oceans in the Atlantic. And we got there literally the day before the Newport Folk Festival. And the headliner that year was a guy named Bob Dylan. And Chuck just mentioned one of his names, It Ain't Me, one of his songs, It Ain't Me, Babe. And Bob Dylan that year played rock and roll. And nobody had ever played rock and roll at the Newport Folk Festival. He was booed off the stage. And people said, he's finished. He'll never amount to anything now. He went on to be, I think, the third or fourth best-selling recording artist in the history of music. There are people who said when we came up with the idea of addressing climate change, reducing climate change, addressing it, that we could do that in a lot of ways and create jobs at the same time. A lot of people were naysayers. You know, you'll never do that. You will never do that. Well, we're here today to share we can do both, and it's important that we do both. We're delighted that you're all here. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your passion for this issue. Shortly after Joe Biden, in fact, 6 days I think after Joe Biden was inaugurated president, he called me on the phone, and he calls me Tommy. He said, "Tommy, I have a favor to ask." I said, "Yes, sir, Mr. President." He said, "Call me Joe." I said, "Yes, sir, Mr. President." He said, "Tommy, I need for you to put together a small group of members from your committee, Environment and Public Works Committee, come over and meet with me, and let's talk about not a infrastructure week, not about an infrastructure month. We want to talk about an infrastructure decade, maybe an infrastructure a decade, or an infrastructure century." He said, "Come on over." And I brought a couple of my colleagues, Shelley Capito and a couple of others, and we joined the president. And basically he said, I'm tired of Infrastructure Week. I'm tired of hearing about Infrastructure Month. We got to do this. We're going to do it for long haul and create a lot of jobs at the same time. Joining us that day was Vice President Harris. Joining us by Zoom was our Secretary of Transportation. I still call him Mayor Pete. But he said he wanted to have a bill to sign into law, an infrastructure bill to sign into law by the end of that year. By the end of that year. And you know what? He signed it into law by the end of that year. We were all there to celebrate. A lot of you, how many were actually there? Raise your hand. Were actually there when the president signed that bill into law. One of the happiest days of my life. Leaving the meeting, though, on 2-3 years ago, I said to my colleagues, my staff, I said, let's get going on this. And boy, we did. Today, we stand here with all of you to celebrate 2 years of this wonderful law. Largest investment in the nation's roads and bridges since the Eisenhower administration, and the largest ever investment in our nation's water infrastructure. As President Biden likes to say, you know, this is not just an infrastructure week or month, this is an infrastructure decade. And today, we got major infrastructure projects underway in the states of all of us that are standing up here, states of all the men and women we serve with, and the states that all of you are from as well. I'm also proud that we included the first ever climate title in a highway bill as part of the bipartisan infrastructure law. And just yesterday, the Biden administration released, as you may have heard, the 5th National Climate Assessment, which underscored the urgency of addressing the threat of climate change. The cars, the trucks, the vans we drive make up the largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in our country. Mobile source about 30% of those greenhouse gases. And thanks to this law, we're now doing something about it, including building a national network of EV chargers. How many here drive EV electric vehicles? Anybody? All right. They are fun. For those who, and if you don't have one, you'll just love driving. They're just like they're a hoot. They're a kick. But the bipartisan infrastructure law is also delivering clean water to more households across our nation, expanding access to affordable high-speed internet, cleaning up legacy pollution, and so much more. I oftentimes say, as my colleagues will tell you, bipartisan solutions are lasting solutions, and I'm confident that the bipartisan infrastructure law is built to last. With that, I want to turn the podium over to our next speaker, a colleague from the great state, a big state, New Hampshire. and like me, a recovering governor, not fully recovered, but we're having a great time working together, and this is one of the things that we're working on. We're delighted to be here with all of you. Maggie May. Whoa. Maggie, put your